Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round, and today I'm talking about the new David Koepp written, Steven Soderbergh directed psychological horror family drama Presence, a movie that is essentially the answer to the question, what if we did In a Violent Nature, but with Poltergeist? This is a movie that reminds me a lot of a book I actually wrote, which I'll get to, and one that takes a tried and true horror genre and puts a new creative spin on it. So let's get into Presence. I'm going to keep this as spoiler free as I can. I have to get into some very minor spoilers towards the end, but I will warn you when those are coming. So when it comes to Presence, first and foremost, I'm a huge fan of both creators. David Koepp is one of my favorite screenwriters, and Steven Soderbergh has directed a very wide variety of movies, many of which I'm a huge fan of. Fun fact, about almost 5 years ago, when the whole worldwide pandemic started, I remember watching Contagion just as the lockdown began, and it oddly gave me comfort. But enough about that. Let's talk about haunted houses. Right from the first shot, we know what we're getting. This is a movie entirely from the POV of, well, the titular presence. We know that there's some supernatural ghost, spirit, whatever you want to call it, in this house. And the whole movie is just like these little snippets of what this spirit is seeing and experiencing. I love the experimental nature of it. Now, like I said earlier, I did write a book called Veritas. It's on Amazon. That when I first saw the trailer, I thought was going to be more like it. My book was much more demonic in nature. This one, not so much. And in mine, the spirit is kind of like a developed character. Here, we don't really know much. We see what the spirit sees, and just in the way that it moves, like with the cinematography and what I'm sure was incredibly well rehearsed, camera movements, we kind of get a sense of its character without a single line of dialogue or without ever even seeing the spirit, that we're looking at. So we have this family moving into this house, and to say that they have issues is, well, an understatement. You've got Lucy Liu as the mom, who I'm glad to see in more stuff. I feel like I haven't seen her in something in a very long time. And, I loved her in Kill Bill. I loved her in Lucky Number 11. I didn't watch Elementary. I heard it was good. But I'm happy to see her in more stuff, especially horror movies. And she's having issues with her husband, Chris Sullivan, who for me is just the guy Benny from the first season of Stranger Things, the nice guy that gave Eleven the burger that unfortunately got killed in like the second episode. So they move into this house, and right away, they're kind of dealing with some family, not tragedy, but their daughter lost a dear friend, and she's kind of still reeling from that. They have a son who's this competitive athlete, and to call it family drama, I think is appropriate because you have all these elements going in, and the house is haunted on top of that. And if you know anything about supernatural hauntings, spirits like this, they kind of feed off that negative energy, and you feel that throughout it. From a stylistic standpoint, I love everything that it does. It's different. It's there's a million haunted house movies, and this actually found a way to do something new and unique with it. The little vignettes that we get, like the little snippets of what the spirit sees, one could argue that that's just the way the spirit is perceiving time, because it's not so linear. It's not so, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It kind of jumps around. I also really, really like how, in a weird way, it almost feels like a paranormal activity movie. But instead of being like from the POV of like home security cameras, it's just the spirit. And because of that, it feels all the more invasive and almost voyeuristic when it's hiding in the girl's bedroom, when she's got a boy over. It's like creeping in the closet. From a directing standpoint, I absolutely love everything about this movie. It captures both the suspenseful nature of it, but it's also very haunting, and I don't just mean that in terms of it's a haunted house, it's scary. I mean that every ghost story, there is an inherent sadness. There's a somber vibe to it that, there's something bad happened, and you feel it. And without getting into spoilers, we do learn more later on. That presence, no pun intended, is felt from the very first scene. And I love the way Soderbergh directed it. And it's, we need more kind of experimental, unique, different horror movies like this to shake things up a little bit. Where it loses me a little bit, and again, I'm going to keep this as spoiler free as I can, towards the third act, it makes some story choices. So these are issues more so with the script and more so with the plot that I don't necessarily agree with, and that I feel it's going really, really strong, and we're kind of like we're slowly getting to know this family and getting to know their issues and understanding them. But right around the third act, I think it makes a choice that I'm not crazy about, and that I feel takes it from this very somber, serious movie, psychological drama with gravitas, and kind of moves it a little bit into schlocky territory. Now, don't get me wrong, I love schlock as much as the next horror fan, but I just feel like that tone didn't mesh with the tone of the rest of the movie. Just that, which if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, that third act. All that being said, I'm so glad I saw it just from as like an experience, like to see it in a theater it felt like I was the ghost. It felt like I'm in that house. And again, without getting into spoilers, I know I keep saying that. There's a moment at the very end that absolutely chilled me to my bones. And again, this is not a movie that's really trying to scare you, but oh my god, just the raw energy and just overwhelming emotion and everything that I'm trying to say without spoiling it. The last couple minutes, I sat back in my seat and was like, "Oh my god." And I have not felt a movie do that to me in a very, very long time. So, I'm really glad I saw Presence. It will likely it's a contender. At least it's a contender right now for my top 10 horror movies of 2025. I know it's still early, but it's gonna be, I mean, I'm looking forward to the rest of the stuff this year, but if we're starting off with this, we're off to a really good start. But hey, these are just my thoughts. This is just my review. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of Presence? Did you like the style? Did you find it just as tedious as In a Violent Nature? Did you find it more accessible to the general audiences than In a Violent Nature? Are you tired of it being compared to In a Violent Nature? Let me know. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up trapped in a house, not living there, but as this presence, and all you can do is go around in POV camera and creep people out. Actually, that sounds fun. Never mind. And as always, every day is Halloween.